Archana?
Yes, Ranganath, I'm reading.
Okay, go ahead.
In relation to the universe, the Supreme is Brahman, the one reality which is not only the spiritual, material, and conscious substance of all the ideas and forces and forms of the universe, but their origin, support, and possessor, the cosmic and supracosmic spirit. All the last terms to which we can reduce the universe, force and matter, name and form, Purusha and Prakriti, are still not entirely that which the universe really is, either in itself or its nature. As all that we are is the play and form, the mental, psychic, vital, and physical expression of a supreme self, unconditioned by mind and life and body. The universe too is the play and form and cosmic soul expression, a nature expression of a supreme existence which is unconditioned by force and matter, unconditioned by idea and name and form, unconditioned by the fundamental distinction of Purush and Prakriti. Our supreme self and the supreme existence, which has become the universe, are one spirit, one self and one existence. The individual is in nature one expression of the universal being, in spirit an emanation of the transcendent. For if he finds his self, he finds too that his own true self is not this natural personality, this created individuality, but is a universal being in its relations with others and with nature, and in its upward term a portion or the living branch of a supreme transcendental spirit.
Yeah, okay. So, we look at all the words and see exactly what is meaning. We have to get the use, understand the use of certain those words. Now, I remind you that we have finished Karma Yoga. We are on page 296. We have finished Karma Yoga as applicable in the synthesis of yoga. And now we are in the section dealing with the Jnana Yoga, the knowledge aspect. Okay? So everyone is saying, I am reading the first sentence. In relation to the universe, the Supreme is Brahman. Now what do we mean by that? So, in relation to the universe, the Supreme is Brahman. There are three relations that the Supreme can have with himself and the cosmos and the individual. In relation to the universe, he is Brahman. You call it Brahman. In relation to himself, at the highest level, it is transcendent. And in relation to the individual, the Supreme is the soul and the self. Okay? So this is what you have to understand. In relation to the universe, in relation to the individual, it is your soul and the self. In relation to the universe, the Supreme is Brahman. It's called Brahman or Atman. Okay? So, and in relation to himself only, Srila uses the words the divine in himself, not the divine in the individual and not the divine in the cosmos. The divine in himself is the transcendent, the supreme. Okay? You can call him also Ishvara. Okay? So, this is what he means. So, he is discussing the supreme's relation with the universe. The one reality which is not only the spiritual, material and conscious substance of all the ideas and forces and forms of the universe, but their origin, support and possessor, the cosmic and supracosmic spirit. So, big sentence and let's understand what he's saying. The one reality which is everything. Okay? The one reality is the transcendent, the supreme. Okay? That transcendent and the supreme is the one reality which is creating the universe as well as creating the individual. It is the first, the supreme creates the universe, and then through the universe, using universal nature, he creates the individuals. Okay. And that is the, so although the Supreme is Brahman in the universe, it's actually the reality which is creating the universe. The one reality, which is not only, and what is that reality? It is not only spiritual material. Spiritual material Sat, substance. Okay? This what we call the existence, which is substance which is absolutely subtle. That which is spiritual material and conscious substance. This substance is material, is fully conscious. So imagine that, think of a stone which is a substance, it is conscious of itself. In our level, the stone is not conscious of itself. But the stone, it is material and it is substance. At the highest level, this substance itself becomes conscious. Not only conscious, but it's also force and it's also ananda. Okay? A stone that becomes conscious and is full of power, not is full of power, is power itself and also bliss. Okay? That's what it means. And conscious substance of all ideas and forms in the universe, but their origin, the reality, the transcendent is the origin of the universe. Its support and possessor. The universe, the Supreme possesses the universe and possesses the individual. The cosmic and supracosmic spirit. This one reality, at the last sentence, towards the sentence, he is saying it is cosmic and supracosmic spirit. Okay. Supracosmic spirit, another word for transcendental. The three levels. Okay. So that's what he said. Now, all the last terms to which we can reduce the universe, force and matter are very much here in the universe. Name and form, Purusha and Prakriti are still not entirely that which the universe really is, either in itself or in its nature. So what it means that either in itself it is the essence, and in its nature the outer form. Just like the essence in us is the soul, and the nature is your body, mind, life. That is the superficial aspect. The superficial aspect is the what is called nature. So in everything there is an essentiality and an outward form and nature. So Chandra is saying the universe is not only name and form, Purusha and Prakriti, all that is not only that, but it is in essence the Supreme itself. Just as man also is in essence the very divine. Okay? He has in him, in essential form, either your psyche or yourself, you are the divine. You yourself are that reality. As all that we are is the play and form, mental, psychic, vital and physical expression of a Supreme Self, unconditioned by mind and life and body, the universe too is a play and form of the cosmic soul expression and nature expression of a supreme existence which is unconditioned by force and matter, unconditioned by idea and name and form, unconditioned by the fundamental distinction between Purusha and Prakriti. So, he is saying that there is a soul in man which is conditioned by body, mind, life. Okay? And the universe is also governed by the Supreme, but in the universe it is one step more than the individual. Okay? It is nearer to the spirit. And the spirit itself is unconditioned by what it creates. The soul is actually independent of body, mind, life. It is not conditioned by body, mind, life if it realizes itself. But unfortunately, the soul does not realize itself and is conditioned by body, mind, life. You are in ignorance. But once you realize who you really are, you are no more conditioned by body, mind and life. And the Supreme is not conditioned by what he creates. He creates a universe, but the universe does not bind him down. He is free at the transcendental level. But at the universal level, he binds himself on purpose. Nature, he goes into each form of nature, plants, stones, animals, human beings, everywhere he plunges himself, but plunges himself purposely into a conditioned state. That's what stagnation is. It's like a telescope. Okay, a collapsible telescope. The transcendent enters into the universe and the universe enters into the individual. Okay, it's like a collapsible telescope. It's like that. That's what he's saying. So the highest is unconditioned by the universe, and the universe is downwards. If you go downwards, the individual is conditioned by the universe and its body-mind life. And the universe itself is also conditioned by its own force. But the Supreme is the unconditioned one. He is totally free. If you use the word unconditioned, that means not free. Okay? You can say this. Now, I read the sentence. As all that we are is a play and form. It's a movement, the play and form. The body-mind life is the form. The mental, psychic, vital and physical expression of a Supreme Self, unconditioned by mind, life and body. The universe too is a play and form and cosmic soul expression and nature, a nature expression of a supreme existence which is unconditioned by force and matter, unconditioned by idea and name and form, unconditioned by the fundamental distinction between Purusha and Prakriti. Totally free. The Supreme Transcendental is totally free. Okay? So, that's what it means. Now, he has used two expressions here. Cosmic soul expression and nature expression. So, soul expression, our soul is in essence the divine, but it's an expression of the divine. It's not the divine fully. It's an expression of the divine. Just like a photograph is the expression of the real person, exactly in the same way, our soul is an expression of the Supreme. Okay? It is in essence divine. After all, the photograph resembles the human being, but still it is not the human being in that sense. And nature expression, at our level, nature is body, mind, life. At the universal level, nature expression is he has given you a list. Forms, mental, psychic, physical expressions, all these things are the nature of the universe. Okay. I read the next sentence. Our Supreme Self and the Supreme Existence, which has become the universe, are one spirit. So essentially, our Supreme Self and the Supreme Existence, which has become the universe, are one spirit, essentially one. One self and one existence. The individual is in nature one expression of the universal being, in spirit an emanation of the transcendent. So there you are. The universe is creating our body-mind life. So the individual is in nature. Nature is the outward expression. Is one expression of the universal being. My body is an expression of universal matter, very obviously. My vital force, my individual vital force, is one expression of the universal force. Exactly in the same way, my mind also is one expression of the universal mind plane of existence. The individual is in nature, one expression of the universal being, in spirit, an emanation of the transcendent. So in everything, there is an essence and there is a body. Okay? Just like the seed is the essence of the tree. Okay? Exactly in the same way, our soul is really the spirit at the highest level. Okay? For if he finds itself, he finds too that his own true self is not this natural personality. Natural personality, body, mind, life. Because natural, you have to understand in relation to nature. Okay? Not in the normal Indian sense that we use. Oh, it is natural that he is like that. Not in that sense. Natural sense, the using the word related to nature. And personality also is using a P lowercase. Okay? Personality. That's a body man life. When you say person with a P cap, he means the essence, the soul, the self. Okay? This created individuality. Another thing, the individuality is created. So this is very interesting. There are uncreated things and there are created things. And if created things are there, they are also found to be uncreated. One day, everything in all the forms in the universe will vanish. Okay? So the universe is created by the Supreme. And the universe is creating our body mind life. But what is there in you is uncreated, unborn. The Gita uses the word unborn. Okay? It is not created, it is forever. It is perennial, not transient. So, for last sentence, for if he finds himself, he finds too that his own true self is not this natural personality, this created individuality, but is a universal being in its relation with others and with nature, and in its upward turn, a portion of the living front of a supreme transcendental being. In fact, the Gita uses the word Amsha Sanatana. We are the Amsha, we are a part of the eternal, the Sanatana. Okay? So, this is what Sri is saying. There are a threefold. There is a transcendent, it creates the universe. And the universe creates the individual. You can, as I said, think of the collapsible telescope. The transcendent creates the universe, and the universe creates your body mind life. But inside all this, the Supreme is there hiding. He is hiding in nature, he is also hiding in the individual. And that is the uncreated part. Okay. Now we can go to the next para. This supreme existence. Yasmin, can you read?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead. This supreme existence.
This supreme existence is not conditioned by the individual or by the universe. A spiritual knowledge can therefore surpass or even eliminate these two powers of the spirit and arrive at the conception of something utterly transcendent, something that is unnameable and mentally unknowable, a sheer absolute. The traditional way of knowledge eliminates individual and universe. The absolute it seeks after its featureless, indefinable, relationless, not this, not that, nati, nati. And yet, as we can say of it, that it is one, that it is infinite, that it is ineffable, bliss, consciousness, existence. Although unknown to the mind, yet through our individual being and through the name and forms of the universe, we can approach the realization of the Supreme Self, that is Brahman. And by the realization of the Self, we come to a certain realization also of this utter absolute, of which our true self is the essential form in our consciousness, Swarupa. These are the devices of the human mind is compelled to use if it is to form to itself any conception at all of a transcendent and unconditioned absolute. The system of negation is indispensable to it in order to get rid of its own definitions and limited experience. It is obliged to escape through a vague, indefinite into the infinite, into the infinite. For it lives in a closed prison of constructions and representations that are necessary for its action, but are not the self-existent true either of matter or life or mind or spirit. But if we can once cross beyond the mind's frontier, twilight, into the vast plain of supramental knowledge, these devices cease to be indispensable.
supermind has quite another, a positive and direct and living experience of the Supreme Infinite. The Absolute is beyond personality and beyond impersonality, and yet it is both the impersonal and the Supreme Person and all persons. The Absolute is beyond the distinction of unity and multiplicity, and yet it is the one and the innumerable many in all the universes. It is beyond all limitations by quality, and yet it is not limited by a quality less void, but is too also infinite qualities. It is the individual soul and all souls and none of them. It is the formless Brahman and the universe. It is the cosmic and the supracosmic spirit, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Self, the Supreme Purusha and Supreme Shakti, the ever unborn, who is endlessly born, the infinite, who is innumerably finite, the multitudinous one, the complex simple, the many-sided single, the word, or the silence ineffable, the impersonal, omnipresent person, the mystery translucent in highest consciousness to its own spirit, but to a lesser consciousness veiled in its own exceeding light and impenetrable forever. These things are to the dimensional mind irreconcilable opposites, but to the constant vision and experience of the supramental truth, consciousness, they are so simple and inevitably the intrinsic nature of each other that even to think of them its contraries is an unimaginable violence. The walls constructed by the measuring and separating intellect have disappeared, and the truth in its simplicity and beauty appears and reduces all to terms of its harmony and unity and light. Dimensions and distinctions remain, but as figures for use, not a separated reason for the self-forgetting spirit.
In this para, Srinagar is describing mainly the Jnana Yoga, traditional path of Jnana Yoga, which doesn't want anything to do with the individual or the cosmos. It wants the transcendental. Okay? Srinagar, of course, does not agree with that, but he is describing the Jnana Yoga, traditional Jnana Yoga path. Get away from all limitations, as Srinagar is using a very interesting word, dimensional mind. Okay? So we'll discuss that. Dimensions always limit you. So, you want to go to the undimensional, unlimited. But he is not limited by his unlimitedness. That's an important thing. He is not so free that he cannot be unfree. So that's exactly what he is describing in this para. Okay? He can be one, but he can also be the many. He is not conditioned. He depends entirely on his own freedom and what he wants to do. He is totally free. Okay? So that's what is very interesting para. So I'll read each sentence and we'll see whether it is clear. This supreme existence. What is the supreme existence? The absolute highest reality. You can call it what you want. You can call it Purusha, you can call it Ishvara, you can call it the supreme. So this supreme existence is not conditioned by the individual or the universe. It is totally free of what it creates. It's like a father who creates a son and the son creates a grandson. Okay? But the father is normally attached in a certain sense to his son and his grandson. But if he wants, he can be totally free of them. Okay? So this truth is like that. Okay? The father can be absolutely free. He can take decisions without his son's consent, nor his grandson's consent. Okay? But he is also concerned with what his son is doing and also his grandson. In other words, the divine is very much concerned with what is going on in the universe without being tied down. He can take independent decisions. And he is also concerned with his grandson. The divine is very much involved in the individual also. He is concerned. But he is not subject to the grandson's tantrums. Okay? He is completely free of them. This is what is being said. This supreme existence is not conditioned by the individual or the universe. The individual is the grandson and the universe is the son. Okay? A spiritual knowledge can therefore surpass or even eliminate these two powers of the spirit and arrive at a conception of something utterly transcendent, something that is unnameable and mentally unknowable, a sheer absolute. Note interestingly that he is not saying that the Supreme is unknowable. It is unknowable to the mind, mentally unknowable, and a sheer absolute. And what is meant by unnameable? Because any name that you give or any characteristic, any feature will limit it. So therefore the divine is absolutely limitless without any features. If he has features, he will be limited. So he has no features at all. Totally free. That's what it meant. Something that is unknowable and mentally unknowable, a sheer absolute. This is absolute, the third level. Okay? First level is the individual, second level is the universe, and third level is the transcendent, the absolute. Now, the traditional way of knowledge, there you are, the traditional way of knowledge is the Jnana Yoga path. Okay? Eliminates the individual and the universe. And when the Jnana Yoga eliminates the individual, they are not only eliminating the body-mind life, but they are also eliminating the existence of the soul which is limited. You become the divine. Okay? Altogether. So, and also the universe also is removed. It reminds you of Shankaracharya's Nirvana Ashtakam. There are Ashtakam because there are 8 verses describing the Nirvana experience. Mano buddhi aham naham. Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. I am not all these things. I am not Rana, I am not the nose, I am not the ears, I am not the eyes. Then what am I? Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am pure consciousness. Chit and Ananda. Shivoham. This is the traditional path. Of course, Sriyamda wants the universe also and the individual, but transformed. He doesn't want it as it is. So in that sense, the Jnana Yoga is justified in rejecting the unregenerated and unpurified individual and also the limited universe. They are limited. But Sriyamda says there is a better way. You can actually change the universe and change the individual also. The traditional way of knowledge eliminates individual and universe. The absolute it seeks after is featureless. If it has got features, as I said, it will be limited. So it is featureless. Indefinable. You can't define it in any way. Define means give it characteristics. Relationless. The word relationless implies oneness. No relation at all. A relation is possible only if there are 2 or 3, but not 1. You can't have a relation with yourself. So it is relationless. Only one. Advaita. Not this, not that. Neti, naeti. Na iti, na iti. I am not the body, I am not the vital, I am not the mind, I am not any of these things. I am not my senses. And yet, we can say of it that it is one, that it is infinite, that it is ineffable bliss, consciousness, existence. So, just now he has told you that we cannot use any words to describe it, and yet that's the nature of the universe, the universal transcendent. And yet we can say of it that it is one, that it is infinite, that it is ineffable bliss, consciousness, existence. Bliss, ananda, consciousness, chit, existence, self. Although unknowable to the mind, yet through our individual being And through the names and forms of the universe, we can approach the realization of the Supreme Self. That is Brahman. That's in nature. Okay? That's it. Brahman is at the first level of the spiritual planes of consciousness. When you make your mind silent and enter level 2, the lowest level 2 is higher mind. Then eleven mind, intuitive mind, and over mind. This is level 2. Level 3 is the super mind. Okay? So, you can realize this Brahman, the Supreme Self as the Brahman. And when you realize the Brahman consciousness, you realize the Supreme only by reflection. By the way, you don't realize the transcendental. When you are in the Brahman consciousness, you realize the transcendental as a reflection. You are seeing a reflection in your silent mind. The silent mind becomes a mirror and it reflects the Supreme. But it's not the Supreme. For the Supreme, you have to go to the third level. And by the realization of the self, we come to a certain realization also of this utter absolute, of which our true self is the essential form in our consciousness, Swarupa. Okay? So, Swarupa is the nature of the soul. Okay? You come to know what it is. Alright? So, these are the devices the human mind is compelled to use if it is to form to itself any conception at all of a transcendent and unconditioned absolute. Even the self is in a certain sense conditioned because it's only a reflection. It's not the absolute unconditioned absolute. The system of negation in the Jnana Yoga is indispensable to it in order to get rid of its own definitions and limited experience. It is obliged to escape to a vague indefinite into the infinite. So, the vague indefinite, that's the experience that you get in the Jnana Yoga path. The vague indefinite into the infinite. For it lives in a closed prison of constructions. The individual is living in a closed prison of body-mind life. And body-mind life are constructions. Who is the architect? Universe is the architect and is the creator of body-mind life. And your soul is imprisoned in your body-mind life. But it can shake off body-mind life and enter the Brahmic consciousness. But in the Brahmic consciousness, you are in the self, you experience the transcendental by reflection, not the thing itself. For it lives in a closed prison of constructions and representations. Representations are images, photographs, okay? Things like that. Or symbols, like the ring on your finger. The ring on your finger represents mother, but it's not the mother. So that's a representation. Symbols that are necessary for its action, but are not the self-existent truth either of matter or of life or of mind or spirit. So, it is not really the Supreme. You can become free, the individual can become free in himself, but he only knows the Supreme by reflection. But if we can once, somehow or other, if we can once cross beyond the mind's frontier twilight into the vast plane of the supramental knowledge, these devices cease to be indispensable. You don't need to do any cutting and rejecting. So, which is the mind's frontier twilight? The overmind. Very clearly, he said, mind's frontier twilight. Mind with an M cap, because mind is all the planes of consciousness. Okay? Beginning with the physical mind, vital mind, mental mind, higher mind, element mind, intuitive mind and over mind. So, all that is the mind's frontier twilight into the vast plane of supramental knowledge. That's the supermind. These devices cease to be indispensable. What device is talking about? Rejection. Rejection of body-mind life and rejection of everything below the Supreme. these devices seem to be cease to be independent, indispensable. Supermind has quite another, a positive and direct living experience of the Supreme Infinite. When he uses the word direct, he means without senses. It's a positive and direct living experience. When you are in the self, level 2, it is not positive, it is negative, because the world is abolished. So you are eliminating one aspect of the divine. Therefore, the liberation of the self, the nirvana experience, is not positive according to Swayanbhu. It is positive in relation to the lower, but in itself it is negative, because you are rejecting the physical world. So that's why in the supermind it is positive. It includes everything, and direct and living experience of the Supreme Infinite. Now he is telling you how the third level, the supermind, is absolutely free. It can be what it wants. It is not limited by its freedom. It's interesting way of putting it. The absolute is beyond personality and beyond impersonality. In fact, this idea of the absolute is totally free of its own freedom is what is not accepted by the other religions. In Christianity, the human being can never become divine, because the divine is bound to be infinite and cannot be finite. So therefore, they reject the absolute freedom of the absolute. He is only sitting on top. He cannot come down, and he can come down, but he cannot be absolutely free when he is down here. That's the theory. But in the Advaita philosophy, it is possible. The absolute is beyond personality and beyond impersonality. Personality is level 1, the individual, and beyond impersonality, level 2 of the universal nature. And yet, it is both the impersonal and the supreme person. The impersonal is cosmic consciousness, the level 2, and the supreme person and all persons is level 3. Person with a P cap. Okay? And all persons with a P lowercase, all the multiplicity in the level 1. The absolute is beyond the distinction of unity and multiplicity. He is so free that if he wants, he can be multiple also, and he can also be unity if he wants. And yet, it is the one and the innumerable many. The divine can be one as well as the innumerable many. In all the universes, it is beyond all limitation by quality, and yet it is not limited by a qualityless void, but is too all infinite qualities. He can be whatever he wants. It is the individual soul and all souls and none of them. So he can be the individual soul and all souls at the universal level, and yet he can be free of all of them. It is interesting. The individual soul, level 1. All souls, level 2, at the universal level. And none of them transcendent. So he can be transcendent, he can be universal, he can also be individual. It is a formless Brahman and the universe. It can also be there. It is the cosmic and the supracosmic spirit, the supreme Lord, the supreme self, the supreme Purusha, and supreme Shakti. The ever unborn, there you are, the divine is not created. He exists from eternity. And he is infinite, ever unborn. Aja, Nityam, Shashvato, Puranam. That's the Gita's words. Aja, not born. What is born is created. But the divine is not created. The universe is created and the individual is created. So, the ever unborn, who is endlessly born. So is the divine himself who is coming into birth in the universe and enters the individual. The infinite, who is innumerably finite. He is not bound by his infinity. The multitudinous one, the complex simple, the many-sided single. All these are oxymorons, and she has the loves doing that. one complex symbol, the many-sided single, the word of the silence in it, the impersonal, omnipresent person. Impersonal, universal nature. Person with the PK, supreme, transcendent. The mystery, translucent, in highest consciousness to its own spirit. Very interesting. Mystery, because you can't describe it in any way, it's a mystery. Translucent. It lets the, from the lower levels, the Supreme is visible through a translucent. Translucent is semi-transparency. Transparent means totally you can see through. But translucent is like sometimes windows which are, they allow the light to come in but you can't see. They are done in that way. That is translucent. It allows the light to come in but you can't see clearly. In highest consciousness to its own spirit. But to a lesser consciousness, veiled in its own exceeding light and impenetrable forever. At the lowest level, the divine is there, but he has veiled himself by exceeding his light and impenetrable forever. At the lowest level, you can't find the divine if you are at that same level. You have to go to a higher level to see him in the lower level. These things are to the dimensional mind irreconcilable opposites. Very interesting word, dimensional mind. It means limited mind. Dimensions are limiting you. So, he is using a very interesting word which shows you how he uses words. The dimensional mind, limited mind, irreconcilable opposites. But to the constant vision and experience of the supramental truth consciousness, they are so simply and inevitably the intrinsic nature of each other that even to think of them as of contraries is an unimaginable violence. So, we have gone far beyond our time, but we'll finish the paragraph. The walls constructed, measuring and separating intellect have disappeared, and the truth in its simplicity and beauty appears and reduces all to terms of its harmony and unity. There is supermental. Dimensions and distinctions remain, but as figures for use, not a separative prison or a self-forgetting spirit. So at the supramental level, all the opposites are there, but they don't condition you. Okay? They don't condition the divine. They are used as figures. Because if that were true, if certainly at the supramental level, he will not be able to make out the difference between Champaklal and Niruddha. But he is doing that. How? Because they are only forms, but he can see the difference in the forms, knowing fully well that they are really one and the same. So that's what he's meaning here. They are used as figures for use, not a separated present for self-forgetting spirit. I'm sorry I've crossed the limit by 5 minutes, but next time we can go to the next para, the consciousness of the transcendent. Okay? So, Guruvar, everybody. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Dada.
I'm stopping.